If anything. Okay, perfect. All right. Well, welcome, guys. Zach, do you want to maybe?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of people probably invited to this call are just interested in the company. I'm not sure how much information you guys really know, but basically, I'll just tell you I've recently joined about 2 weeks ago, and Elena is my sponsor. So she brought me in, and she's been showing me the ropes so far. And then we also have Mike and Ben, who are like wizards with network marketing, and they have a lot of experience with Nikan and other network marketing businesses as well. So yeah, Elena, basically, I was like not open-minded to this at all, not really into it. And I went to one of her events just to like offer like my videography services, photography, like stuff along that line, just to help her out. And then when I actually saw the opportunity and the potential, the products and everything, I got drawn in, and it is a very interesting and unique opportunity, especially for a lot of people I invited. They're students or young people who might not have a lot of time, or if they do have time to do like a part-time job or something. And this is like, from all the jobs I've had, this is definitely the best time value type of opportunity that I've seen in a while. So yeah, that's basically my intro. And then Elena, you can take away from here.
Yeah. So yeah, Zach and I had a very interesting, I guess, connection and partnership into this business and what we're building. Like you said, he showed up at my event, saw the value for himself, decided he wanted to become a part of it. I'm here today for your understanding, to help facilitate more of your learning, to answer some of your questions. But one of the best ways that I can actually facilitate your learning is by connecting you to, like Zach said, my uncle Mike and Ben, who have been quite literally legends within the industry as well as within the company of Nikan. So my uncle this month is actually coming on his 30-year mark, working with Nikan, building out his business with this one specific company. And so, as a result of that, he's become one of the top, and has been for some time, the top income earner, not only in the company, but industry wide. He's built an organization for himself that has generated over $1 billion in sales. And that has really been a result of the impact he's had on thousands of lives. Oh, there's an echo. Kayla, do you mind just muting? I think that might be coming from, or maybe it's my uncle's. Thank you. Yeah, so his impact has really been, pretty widespread. And the experience as a result of that is one that we can really derive a lot of value and insight from. And Ben has another, very unique perspective within the industry, different from my uncle's, because he moved from the corporate side of the company into the field as a consultant. And he'll share a little bit about his story there. But these two individuals have had such an incredible influence on myself, my cousins, when we decided to start our business and to get things rolling. And so they're really here for your benefit. They're here to help inform you and guide you in whatever way possible. And I can promise you, walking away from this conversation, you're going to derive some value and benefit. So Theo, I'll let you take it away.
Okay, thank you, Elena. Thank you, Zach. And welcome, Hannah, Robert, Kayla, Bubbles. I'm sure that stands for something.
That's my friend.
Ariana, Sophia, Elena, and of course, Ben, who I'll introduce you to momentarily. Again, just to recap that, yes, this call is really an invitation to explore something that we've all had a hand in helping to bring into the world. I had my opportunity to introduce this incredible idea to the Canadian marketplace literally 30 years ago. Next week will be my 30th anniversary. And you might think, wow, okay, so you've been doing this for 30 years. Why would you be excited about doing it 30 years later? And I hope as I tell you my story, you'll see why, and why I'm actually even more excited because you guys are on this call. Knowing what I know and where we're going, where we've been, is why I feel that way. So this is not going to be all the information you're going to be reviewing. If what you hear tonight, causes you to want to lean into this conversation, then they'll send you a link. You'll be able to look at some information online, learn more about the technologies and all the opportunities associated with this. And of course, you have you have the ability to ask questions of anyone. The goal here is to encourage a exploration of this idea and how it could fit into your life and maybe become something as significant as it has for me. So backstory, 1991 December, I'm introduced to Nikan. I'm invited to a friend's house because he knew I'd sustained a low back injury from a car accident while working as an electrician, an occupation I had no business being in. Prior to that, I was a graduate of aerospace engineering. I ended up in the music business on the recording contract for about 2.5 years. That blew up and ended up working for a friend of mine who was a bass player, starting an electrical contracting company. And that was only supposed to be something I did for a couple of months while I got my head together and figured out how to actually re-engage my career as a musician, singer-songwriter, which I thought was going to be where I made my mark in the world. Well, 3 years into this now, instead of 3 months, I'm rear-ended, and that propelled me into somebody's office. I was at the doctor, physiotherapist, the chiropractor, and the massage therapist in somebody's office every other day for 1.5 years. And this low back injury that I had wouldn't let up. I lived with it every day, pain every day. It would get sometimes to the point where I'd come home, my back would be completely seized up. I'd have my younger brothers walk on my back just to give me some relief. And that was every day at the ripe old age of about 26.5, 27. So the day that a phone call came and a friend of mine said, hey, I think I might have found something that can help your back. At that point in time, it really didn't matter. I'd tried everything. And he was a friend, so I went to visit him. He lived about 10 minutes away. It was a cold winter night in December. And he showed me this credit card thing and it said Nikan on it. It was a flexible magnet, apparently. And he said, put it on where it hurts. And I thought, goodness gracious, after everything I've been through, this thing is going to be the solution. Okay. So I entertained it, amused myself. And he said, well, it came with this video. Let's watch it and you'll see what I'm talking about. And so that was my introduction to Nikan. Maybe a similar video that we have online for you to watch, give you sort of a snapshot of what I saw 30 years ago as this company was being introduced to me. A Japanese giant, a multi-billion-dollar multinational that was recognized as the premier preventive health technology company in Japan at the time. They'd hit $1 billion faster than IBM and General Motors. They were growing now exponentially. They were looking to open up their 8th country and 9th country being US and Canada. And I was one of the people who got the call to have a look at this, having no business experience, no marketing experience, no real anything experience except wanting to be a singer-songwriter experience. It landed on my doorstep. So, and I wasn't the only one, obviously, but what I saw in that video was very compelling. I saw people sharing their experiences, and these were people from every walk of life, including the medical profession, who were saying this thing is nothing short of amazing. And so within about 5 or 10 minutes, I guess we were watching this video, it became apparent to me that my back wasn't hurting. So I thought, that's insane. This is like right out of Star Trek. And so I got even more excited about the possibility, not knowing for sure whether or not I placeboed myself. But anyway, I took the information that I was given home, which was the compensation plan, a little bit about the company, more or less the stuff that I'd already seen in that video, but just a chance to read through it. And I started to really ask the right questions of myself. What if? What if this is for real? And just then my father was going upstairs to bed and he was in worse shape than I was. He had been having problems with his sciatica for weeks at that time. He was limping, was in complete pain. It was just a disaster. And I thought, here's my chance to see if this product really works. So without him knowing anything about the video or the opportunity or anything like that, we just said, here, put this on where it hurts. And he did. 2 nights later, my father calls me back from work and he says, you think you can get some more of these? I've got some friends at work that want to buy them. Just like that. All of his discomfort gone, full range of motion. He was back. And that was incredible. That, for me, that really told me that this thing was for real. But when he said what he said, I remembered something I heard on the video. The person said on the video, you know, you can sell just about anything to anybody. Maybe they'll tell somebody. But when you take away someone's pain and discomfort, they'll tell everybody about it. And that's what my father was doing. So my father was my evidence, not just my own personal, but his evidence and mine together really told me that this was for real. And that was 48 hours. So in 48 hours from start, I made a decision to get involved with NECAN. At that time, if you would have told me, Mike, you're going to be doing this for the next 30 years, I'd have told you, you're nuts. I just needed this to get me out of what I was doing, which was slave labor, as far as I'm concerned, working 14 hours a day, 6 days a week for somebody building their empire while I was just literally slave labor, making about $29,000 a year. So when I saw this as a vehicle to get out, I was just looking for $4,000, maybe $5,000 a month business part-time on the side that I can then parlay and do my music career on my terms. That's it. That's what I was looking for. 1 month later, everything had changed. This thing took off like a rocket. And all of a sudden I was making much more than I expected. And so I started to realize the depth of this possibility, of this opportunity, and fell in love with the products and the impact that it was having on people. And it was nothing short of amazing. And it's still the same. So let me fast forward. 30 years have gone by. Something I didn't expect I'd do for, just as something on the side. Here I am, full blown, involved in this for 30 years, helping to pioneer the introduction of this company globally. What's changed in those 30 years is not just my personal success and the life I've been able to create for myself, my family, and thousands of people around the globe. What's changed is the world. As the world has continued to move forward with the advent of the internet, believe it or not, I started this business when there was no internet. Can you imagine? You guys can conceive of a time when there was no internet. Imagine trying to run a business. So there was no internet. I mean, times when I had cell phone bills in the thousands of dollars because the long distance calls cost me a fortune. But in all that time, what's changed in the world is 30 years have gone by. The generation I introduced this to is 30 years older, just like me. I'm 57. And while we've enjoyed an incredible experience with NECAN, one thing got left in the cracks: Gen X, Gen Y, and now Gen Z. And we see the opportunity to introduce NECAN is like introducing a whole new world to a whole new generation. Only now we have the benefit of hindsight, and we have the technology, which is the communications technology, as well as an expanded product line that really rounds out the whole offering. And so when my daughter came to me, and Elena and my other daughter, Savannah, came to me earlier this year just in the spring of this year and said, I think we'd like to really get involved with bringing NECAN into the world for our age group, for our demographic, and start a movement. I was so excited because I had been waiting for this moment in time of the shift that was taking place in the company to make amends, to make adjustments for this younger generation, this age of technology and communication where social media becomes the main theme. And so we had the right CEO installed in January of this year, empowered to make the changes that we needed. A person who was actually responsible for tremendous growth in Latin America is now in charge of NECAN Global, a company that right now is pivoting to address the marketplace, which is now more than ever interested in health. Have you noticed that the last couple of years, everybody's tuned into health, and it's become the top priority issue. Not only that, but so many people who are displaced don't have a place to work. They need to find a way to work, and being online has become the most prevalent way of doing things. Add to that your generation who doesn't want to go back to the old way of doing things. Everyone I talk to that I'm being introduced by you is saying the same thing. I don't want a job. I don't want to work 9 to 5. I don't want to be told when I can take the time off or the vacation. I want freedom. I want flexibility. I want all the luxuries that life has to offer. I definitely want that, but I don't want the price that you have to pay for it the way it was done. And fortunately, we're now living at a time where it doesn't have to be done the hard way, the old way, the traditional way. Because of technology, we have more opportunities today than ever, making NECAN more relevant today than it was when I was first involved with this. Bringing a technology whose time has come, with a business model whose time has come, with a IT and a business plan whose time has come, and a vision that is really about creating a movement. It can inspire people to heights that are amazing. Now, that's a little bit about my story, and I'm sure we can fill in some of the blanks if you have some questions after, but I want to introduce you to Ben, because Ben's perspective on this is very different. He came at it from multiple disciplines. He was educated in business and marketing. He was involved at the corporate level. He was involved in organizations that actually govern our industry. He'll tell you a little bit more about that. He was involved as the president of NICAN for Europe, and then given president of NICAN Global, and did something completely unorthodox that sent reverberations through the industry, which was he stepped down from the presidency of the company in order to step into the field and be one of us in the field to build a NICAN business. And he has his reasons for doing that. Among some of them, his children. He's now a father of 8. He's a best-selling author. Last year, he was actually given the #1 title of best-selling author on the, help me out, what's that list? The bestsellers list for
New York Times.
I'm sorry, New York Times. Thank you. Thanks, Ben. New York Times best-selling author. And so to have him with all of his disciplines and success stories and be a coach and a mentor and a partner for myself personally has been something amazing. And we're bringing that to this group that wants the experience, the history, the benefit to pivot yourselves into a life and a lifestyle that really is meaningful and purposeful. Now, I've been sort of jumping here and there. I don't have a storyline to follow tonight, but we do have content online that will help fill in some of the blanks and give you some images around what are these products that they're talking about, why can they change lives and whatnot. But Ben's story is one that you definitely want to listen to, and then we'll be available to answer some questions. So Ben, why don't you take it from there?
Sure, thank you. Hi, everyone. I always like to, before I share my story, just tell a little bit of Mike's. I know he's just shared his story, but he's a wonderfully humble guy. And so he does leave out some points that are really critical, perhaps because he doesn't like to blow his own horn too much. But he shared his story as to why he joined NICAN. But what's really important for everyone to understand that's listening here is one thing that I have come to appreciate, having worked in this industry now for a long time, both on the corporate side and in the field, is it's not just about finding the right company to partner with if you want in your own business. It's also about finding the right team. Because when you get that team support, that training, that instruction, that support, that hand-holding, that's what's really going to help you really move forward and capture the vision of what you want to achieve, understand why, and have the motivation and drive and the resources and tools to be able to go forth and get it done. So that's a really important part. That being said, yeah, Mike had a great reason for joining all those years ago. He's coming up 29 years
30.
this week.
30.
30 years this week, Mike?
Yeah.
This week?
Yeah.
It's crazy. 30 years. I mean, that in itself shows this isn't a fad. It's not a hype machine. It's a real deal. It's something that can provide you a career experience for the rest of your life. That's a huge thing. So if you're looking for something that's really long-term, Mike is living proof that you can get it here. But in addition to that, as he was being introduced, they mentioned he's had great success being a top income earner. Let me give you context to that. And I hope you don't mind me saying this, Mike. That top income earner status represents more than, and this is a dated figure because I've been using this figure for many years now, more than $20 million of earnings with NICAN, just with NICAN. That's huge. And you break that down into a 30-year time frame. And like I said, I've been using that number. I don't know what the updated figure is, Mike, but I've been using that number for at least 5 or 6 years, if not longer. That's significant annual income, isn't it? Thinking about getting that on a year after year after year after year basis. And he's done that with one company. He's not jumped around the industry and taken advantage of other people to line his own pockets. He's stayed in one place, built a home, and built a legacy. And as a result of that, when he talks about the great success that's going on in Latin America, in Nikan, Mike is to some degree the patriarch of that, because most of Latin America is Mike's organization. Yeah, he's been over there and built up some of these markets from ground zero. So he's got great experience there. So I just wanted to spend a minute or two just to validate Mike's experience and give context to that. He's launched Canada, he's launched Latin America, he's had a huge impact on Europe. We've worked together in France and in the UK and all over the place over there in our time together as well. So all over the Nikan world, Mike has had significant impact on thousands upon thousands of entrepreneurs' lives, and has done so for close to 30 years now. Well, coming up 30 years this week. So that's huge. My experience is a little different. I've been in Nikan since 2011, so 10 years. I've been here in this business. And like Mike said, I came initially from the corporate side. I was originally the sales director for the European region, then got made the managing director and then global president. Prior to that, well, during that time as well, I was on the board of directors for our trade association in the United Kingdom and on the CEO council for our trade association for Europe. And that represented that role there that I played on that council, governing 43 billion euros of revenue a year. When you're on a trade association there, you're overseeing the performance of the industry, making sure that it all is in line with how we should be operating, helping other companies follow the right guidelines and best practices, and of course, striving to grow the industry through those connections and relationships. So that was great. Prior to that, I've worked for a couple of multi-billion-dollar companies within our industry, and have been in all sorts of different roles corporately, from marketing to sales to general management and these other senior executive roles. But why did I join Nikan? I'm going to share a different story to what I have previously told in the past in regards to an important aspect of my kind of migration into the field. Like Mike said, I'm the father of 8, which means I've got a household of 10. We're in double digits. And I've always felt a very keen responsibility to provide wealth for my family. And that's been something that I've felt the burden of that responsibility very keenly all my life. I remember, even bizarrely, I'm not sure if this is an unusual thought or not as a kid, but I remember as a kid coming home from school once, and I must have been about 9 or 10, and seeing bills come through the post and they were in my stepdad's name. And I knew they were bills because they had that little envelope, that little window, and it was all printed, and and I thought, oh, these look like bills. And I remember thinking to myself then, at the age of 9 or 10, one day I'm going to have to pay bills. One day I'm going to have a mortgage. And one day the standard of living that my family enjoys is going to be on my shoulders. That's going to be up to me. And I felt that at the age of 9 or 10. So my wife has always been a stay-at-home mum. She was finishing university when we got married, and she got pregnant within a couple of months and has been pregnant probably about 50% of our married life. So that's just kind of been the trend for us. So she's not really had much chance to be anything else other than a stay-at-home mum, but that's definitely been her preference. So, but why did I want to make this move into the field? There was a couple of reasons. On a deeply personal level, when we had 3 children, my oldest, who was just a few years old, in fact, we had 2 kids. My wife was pregnant on our 3rd. We went to church one afternoon, and my little boy, who was my oldest, he was about 3, he fell asleep, as they are inclined to do in the middle of the day. But he woke up. When he woke up, it looked like his eyes had been boxed in. He had, all of a sudden, he just started swelling up. And we didn't know why. He just took a nap. A friend of ours that was there was a doctor. He did a quick check of him, and he said, I can feel a heart murmur going on here, but the swelling means there's something wrong with his kidneys. I would get him to the hospital as soon as you can. Oh, you can imagine the panic. We were in our mid-20s, my wife and I, scared to death that something's going wrong here with our son. We had just moved into a brand new home. As a side interest, my wife and I have always bought and sold houses, built houses, sold them, and done that over and over again. We've moved countless times, and that's a different story. But we had literally on that Thursday prior had just moved into a brand new home, which we had just had built. We were very excited about it. We felt very chuffed with our accomplishment, being young parents and having this brand new home and so on and so forth. We take him to hospital and he gets diagnosed with a kidney disorder called nephrotic syndrome. Over the next few days, that illness meant that his kidneys were leaking protein into the bloodstream, and he couldn't retain, he couldn't release the water. It was all going into his blood, into his tissues. Over the course of the next few days, he put on 50% of his body weight in water retention. And the doctors were saying to us, we need to reduce the swelling. If it goes to his brain or to his heart, it could be life-threatening, life-changing, or it could kill him. You can imagine the intense panic and stress that we had during this time. One of the things that they said to us was, whatever happens, don't let him get chickenpox, because we are giving him high doses of steroids, and that's lowering his immune system in order to combat. The steroids combat the issue, but the side effect, which we didn't want but was unavoidable, was he just had no immune system. But one of the challenges with chickenpox is it really fights your immune system terribly, and that meant with a low immune system, he could get inflammation on his brain very quickly. And frustratingly, 2 weeks after he left hospital, he was in hospital for a couple of weeks. 2 weeks after coming out, he got chickenpox. And he ended up going back into hospital. He was in isolation. Having a 3-year-old in isolation with a cannula in his hand is the worst experience you can possibly imagine. We had this terrible time. Why do I share this? A year went with daily tests and what have you. He eventually grew out of it, which I'm pleased to say. But we had a 12-month scare with his life. And there was a couple of weeks there where we thought we could lose him as our son. We thought he wouldn't make it. It was a frightening experience. Why do I share this? In that moment when we had just moved into our new home, I felt I would give that house away and live on the street if I could have his kidneys working well again. I hadn't even thought about his kidneys before then. How many of us do that? Yeah, go, oh, I'm really grateful that my kidneys work today. Yeah, you just don't give it a second thought. But in this moment, I'd have given away everything and lived on the street for my little boy to be able to have healthy kidneys. And what that did for us was it gave us a change in perspective of what matters most. And I can't emphasize enough the value of good health. When I look at moving into the field here to be a distributor in NECAN, one of the things that really attracted me was our philosophy of pursuing balance in what we call the 5 pillars of wellness: a healthy mind, a healthy body, healthy family, healthy society, and healthy finances. And getting balance, which I've learned is often temporary. Yeah, you focus on it, you prioritize it, it comes and it goes, but you're constantly getting this, balancing act going on in our lives. But when we get it, that's when true abundance is experienced. And it's something that we often take for granted, isn't it? Health is certainly one of those things. But one thing that I love about NECAN is its genuine, authentic, holistic approach to well-being. We don't just look at what we do while we're awake. We also look at how we look after ourselves while we're asleep. We have this circadian rhythm that our bodies are designed to live by. And society is fighting it and saying that it's cool for you if you can get by on less sleep. That shows that you're a hero. That shows that you're awesome. Margaret Thatcher famously said, sleep is for the weak. She used to get by in 4 hours, and that, good on her for being able to do that. But most people, you just can't survive that. You need at least 8 hours of good, deep restorative sleep. Nikan has products that look after us when we sleep and when we're awake. The whole circadian rhythm of our lives is looked after and taken care of by the products that Nikan offers. And it gives us a really holistic approach to well-being and taking care of our bodies. I think that's really important. So for me, since experiencing that sudden shock to my system with my little boy, seeing him suddenly, be one of those people that everyone kind of tilted their head at when we were in hospital and just go, oh, as you walk past them. That was heartbreaking to me, to be that dad that, people looked with that kind of look of sympathy at as I would carry him through the hospital. And that was tough. That was tough. But we've got to recognize the value of our health. Why is this important? Because now, as Mike has said, people are becoming more and more aware of the need for better wellness and better health. Certainly over the last couple of years, it's been screaming at us that we need to take greater responsibility for ourselves to look after our bodies and take good care of them. So what we see here is a business opportunity that is actually becoming increasingly more relevant and more important. We also see a lot more people are quitting their jobs and looking for other ways and means to take care of themselves, that aren't the conventional 9-to-5 work in an office experience. And this is, again, something that Nikan has been offering long before it's been popular, long before it's been a fad, because we just believe that these governing principles look after your mind, your body, your family, society, and then good finances will follow. And I like that principle that finances comes last, because it's based upon a universal truth that when we do what's right for the right reasons, success and happiness ensue. Often if we try to pursue it, it evades us. But if we do it for the right reasons, and if we pursue doing the right things, then happiness and success follow as a consequence. And I love that principle. So in Nikan, one of the things that attracted me here was the fact that we are focused on universal principles that are timeless. That again, that harmony and balance in those 5 pillars of wellness, that principle of pay it forward, to put the success and well-being of others first, so that your success can follow secondarily, but in a wonderful way where it's not just in a financial way, but in a way where you have enriched someone's life and your life is now the better for it as a result. It's a meaningful endeavor that makes a difference. So I really love it for that reason. Another reason that I wanted to jump into the field was I'd been involved in a number of major crises, corporate crises in the past in other companies within our industry. Companies that had gotten kind of sucked into doing things in a bad way. Yeah. And because they were big and they were multi-billion-dollar companies, everyone else just kind of accepted it as this is what we do. Yeah. And they followed suit, and they would copycat, because smaller companies will always look to bigger companies and follow what they've done because they want what they've got. But what they often do, which is wrong, is they don't realize that sometimes you might be following or copying their mistakes. And that's what a lot of companies were doing. They were copying their mistakes. And I got to see it firsthand because I was on the inside when a crisis hit, when those mistakes were being made. So when I became president of Nikan, we started the process, didn't by any stretch finish it. Luis has certainly taken the baton and is doing a great job right now in reinforcing and growing this culture of being a customer-centric business, where we really put the lives and the needs of our customers front and center in the products that we offer and in the experience that we offer. And I think that's really important, because to me, one thing that I used to say is, in this business, we can buy products for ourselves, but if we're the only one, it's a little bit like owning a restaurant. If I'm the only one eating at my restaurant, then maybe it's not a restaurant, maybe it's just my kitchen. Yeah. And a lot of people in direct selling tend to have this philosophy of be the only person in the kitchen and then just get a lot of other people to do the same thing. And what we're doing is something quite different. We're saying, let's fill the restaurant. Let's get it stocked with lots of loving customers that love what we do, love why we're doing it, and want to keep on coming back for more. When you've got that, you've got longevity in your opportunity. You really do. And so if you're looking for something that has longevity, that has value, and has growing purpose and relevance, then the message that Nikken has been built on for the last 46, 47 years, you will find is only growing in strength and relevance and in importance and in need. And so to that end, what we have is an opportunity that is only going to get stronger. It's only going to get better because people are seeing the need for it more and more and more. And we see the data everywhere outside of Nikken, independent research done, and you can look at all the stats and all the trends as to what people are looking for in regards to home-based businesses, entrepreneurship, the gig economy, all that type of thing. They're looking for something that will really make a difference, but importantly, something that they can leave a legacy with. Yeah, because we want to have value in what we're doing versus simply trade time for money. And Nikken gives us a chance not just to trade time for money, but to do something much more valuable than that. And that's leave a legacy. And that's what Mike has done. That's what I'm striving to do. And that's what each of you have the opportunity to do now, especially coming in at this age that you're at. I sound like an old guy now, but I am getting gray hairs. But coming in at the age that you're at in your 20s is such an incredible opportunity to really change the course of your lives and the next generation after you and your family. And I'm not sure if you're thinking about it from that context of the next generation, but I'm sure enough you will do as that next generation comes into your life. You want to have something that you can pass the baton to and really leave a legacy and have that time freedom, not just the income, but the time freedom to spend with them. That's one thing that I love, and I'll just finish on this, is not only is it providing me financial independence, as it has done Mike, it's also providing me time freedom, liberty to spend my time on the things that matter most, which for me are my wife and kids. Yeah, I'm there to pick them up from school. I do the school run in the morning. I'm home making dinner. I'm not just having dinner with them every evening. I'm making dinner for them every evening. And it's great to be able to have these moments where we can spend with the most important relationships in our lives. You know, there's only really two things that we take with us in the next life, in my opinion, and that's love and knowledge. So we really should spend as much of our time acquiring as much of those two things as we can. And we get that through service, and we get that through things like this that give us the chance to step outside of our comfort zone and face our fears, do some scary things, but become better for it, and make other people's lives better for it. And that's the thing that I love about this business, and that's why I made that radical jump from being a president to being a consultant with Nikken. So that being said, I'll stop talking. I'll pass the time back to you guys to pick up and.
Let me thank you, Ben. And I remember that story about your son. Yeah, I know what it's like, how important health is in a family situation. I wanted to point something up before we open up to questions. And so far, what you're getting is some context. The depth of Nikken as an opportunity. I think it's important. They say that the lifetime of an opportunity is the opportunity of a lifetime is only as good as the lifetime of the opportunity. Now, why would you want to bring people into a business that's going to go away in 2 or 3 years? That would be unfair. So what we're talking about is a company that has not only the depth in terms of its history, but it's the richness of its culture that's made it so. And I hope you're getting pieces of that, even though maybe you didn't think this is going to be something that had that kind of a story attached to it. Maybe you're just looking for a quick solution, which we also have. But I want to point something out. Apple was founded in 1975, same year that Nikken was founded. If this call was about the introduction of a thing called an iPhone, because we've been using this iPhone ourselves, those of us in the baby boom, since 1975, but your generation has never seen or heard of this thing. Do you think there might be an opportunity associated with bringing it to your population, your generation? Well, knowing what you know about this, of course. The thing is, you know about this. You're only now just learning about Nikan, a company that was born in the same year Apple was, and is the Apple of wellness, is the company, the premier company in total wellness. So it's a very, very unique opportunity to be a pioneer, introducing something that your generation has never heard of. I can assure you our market share, our penetration in my generation was only about 1.5%, if that, which is very small, but we still were able to do billions. My company alone did $1 billion in sales so far. So what's on the table for you to look at is, if you're looking for something that has big attached to it, this is it. In that scope, there's whatever size of vision you have, even if it was, look, I just want to make an extra few $100s a month. Certainly within the context of Nikan, that's doable, very doable. The girls can share with you their experience. Zach can share with his experience of it just in the few weeks that I've even known him already. But if you're looking for something that has more to it, where you could stand to anyone and look them straight in the eyes, people you really admire, really respect, and say, you know, I'm in partnership with a company that has quite a story. I'm in partnership with partners who have quite a story themselves. And know that we are available. Myself and Ben are available to be on a call like this anytime for you guys. Zach's already experienced that before. Rosemary, you are. Ellen, of course, and Sophia. So if you're looking for an opportunity to grow as a person, create a business that can grow independently of you, which means that will provide you with not just an income, but actually a lifestyle, the kind of lifestyle Ben and I enjoy. I cracked my first million at the age of 30. So, you know, I've been riding this roller coaster for a long time, and it's a wonderful experience. And to be able to then pass this to the next generation is a dream, because if Nikan really is as good as we're saying it is, does it not have a right to be available to the next generation and the generation after and so forth? And when you look at the products and what we represent in that department, you'll realize that the products are timeless. How many of you drink water? How many of you think drinking water is going to be something you're going to do 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now? How important is water going to be in anybody's life going forward? How many of you sleep? Anybody here sleep? Yeah, how important is sleep? You think it's going to be important in 10 years or 20 years or 30 years? Like, the fundamentals are what we address in a holistic way, which is timeless. Anyway, I'm going to open it up to questions, or Sophia, Elena, Zach, if you guys, Rosemary, if you have something that you want to ask on behalf of your guests, we'll shut up now.
I never heard Ben's story, so I just want to say thank you for sharing that. I mean, I've heard your story in terms of your transition and journey with Nikan, but I never heard the story about your son. So I think it was really nice to be able to hear that perspective. And yeah, I was kind of just blown away. I don't know if anyone has any questions, but feel free to shoot. Anything about the product, business.
You know your guests best, where they're coming from. We don't know how much they know coming into this conversation, so we may have given them an earful and maybe need to bring it back a little bit. So why don't you help direct us, I guess, is the question.
So I don't really have a question, but I just want to keep in mind that, yeah, it's kind of scary starting off, and you don't know how you're going to sell, and you worry about it and you doubt yourself, and you have all that going on. But when you like have a call like this, you got to realize also, like, these people here are here to mentor you. They're here to help you. Like, Ellen is here. I'm here. We have two guys that are like I said, wizards in this industry. So it's like, you don't have to have it all figured out right away. You can go with the flow. And if you want to ask someone something, or you want to ask Ben something, like, you have all those resources available to you. So if you're doubting yourself on that, I'd try and reassure you that it is a learning process, but all the resources are there for you. So yeah, just want to put that out there.
Can I just add to that, Zach? Is that all right?
Yeah, of course. No, you can't add to it.
this point about fear, I think, is really worthwhile just touching on a little bit. Yeah.
Oh my,
It-
yeah.
You may be wondering, why did Mike and Ben spend so much time telling their story as to why they joined? Yeah, what relevance does that have to me? Yeah, that's not sharing with me specific skills on how to build a business. So why are we talking about this? The reason we're talking about it is there is nothing more exciting than following your dreams. Yeah, and there is nothing more exciting. The next best thing to achieving your own dreams is helping someone else realize theirs. Yeah, and that is really what's so important. So what I would say is, to Zach's point on fear, be loyal to your dreams, not your fears. Yeah, be loyal to your dreams, not your fears. It's so easy when we're looking at something for the first time to look at all the reasons why we should say no. That's human nature. Yeah, it's instinctive in us to protect ourselves and to survive. That's kind of basic human kind of functionality there, but we're not born to survive. We're really designed to thrive. So it's in your best interest to connect with what your dreams and aspirations are, be loyal to that, and focus on that, prioritize that over your fears. And then, again, to Zach's point, realize that there is a team of people when you join NICAN that is in place already to help you to achieve your dreams and to have them come to fruition, to fight away the fears, to learn how to overcome them, to move the obstacles out of the way, and to support you in that journey. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to say, is be loyal to your dreams, not your fears.
Can I pick on you, Hannah? Okay.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, great. So what are you hearing, or what are you feeling, or what are you seeing that strikes up? Yeah, just what are you seeing? What are you feeling? What are you hearing?
I definitely came into this not knowing a ton. But Zach was very eager for me to, see what this was about. And I feel like I'm a decently open-minded person. So I really wanted to come on and see what this call was going to be about. And then after hearing you guys spoke, it kind of sparked passion, I guess. I hearing you guys speak about it showed how passionate you guys are about this company. So I don't know. I am holding on to what Ben just said. Be loyal to your dreams and not your fears. I think I'm a person to overanalyze a lot of things and overthink a lot. And I think with this, I'm allowed to kind of just jump in it, not really know what I'm doing, and hopefully see some success come out of it. And that excites me because I'm a very big overthinker. So it's for once, I'm not overthinking anything, and I'm just kind of jumping into something that is exciting. And then that drives kind of passion inside me. So I guess, yeah, that's where my head is at right now.
Wow, that's awesome. I love it.
Of that. Can I touch on that for a second?
Actually, I was going to say, Ellen, what you have a thing called messy, what do you call it?
Messy action.
Messy
You don't have to
action.
Yeah, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing. I can tell you from my experience, I am a perfectionist. I was born a perfectionist, and I've been that way my entire life. This business has been one of the most challenging and transformational experiences for me to date because of the fact that I've had to become very comfortable with not being perfect. And as a result of that, I've opened myself up to the opportunity to grow in ways that I never thought possible. But I'm not doing it alone. That's why it's so manageable. That's why it's so achievable and so transformational, because as you step into this new role for yourself, the fears will come up, and that's why Ben says, be loyal to your dreams, not your fears, because they will inevitably be there, right? You're stepping out of your comfort zone. You're making a shift in your life that's unknown. So it's going to trigger some fear. It's going to trigger some resistance. But as you do that, you're able to leverage the support, the experiences, the mentorship, the guidance of people who are also in your position and have been able to move through that and generate results for themselves that we would all want to achieve on some level, right? So you're literally not, you're kind of, it's almost like you're being thrown into the deep end, but you also kind of have a lifeline. You have the water wings. You're able to start to learn to swim because you really learn through messy action, through being in situations where you don't have all the answers, right? Because it opens you up to new ways of thinking. And we have a community. I mean, I can even attest to this for myself. When my cousins and I first started, we were so fortunate because our direct line of mentorship were people like Ben and my uncle, you know, people with so many years of history within this business, and a lot of experience and wisdom as a result of that. But it was also just me and my two cousins in terms of, let's say, our team that we were building out. So we were really figuring things out for ourselves, thinking about the vision that we wanted to create. We now have a team of 30 people. And I don't know if Zach and Rose, if you guys would want to touch on this at all too, because you've been in a couple of our weekly calls now, like the experience of that, to be able to gather in a community that, you know, of people who are essentially saying, you know, I want more for my life and you should too, and that it's actually possible because we're able to do that together. It's very different than anything I've experienced in the past, thinking that everything I do needs to be accomplished on my own and on my own shoulders. And so the community aspect of this is just, I think, one of the reasons why our dreams, our vision for life becomes so achievable, because you're not doing it alone. It's the form of collaborative entrepreneurship that creates the possibility for you to grow into the person that you need to be, and then to be able to share and contribute with the community that you're a part of. And that's huge. That's nothing I've ever experienced in the past. We really call it collaborative entrepreneurship, like leveraging the strengths and talents of one another to develop into, you know, the greatest versions of ourselves and really build thriving businesses that have a lasting impact on people's lives.
Wow, there you go. Exclamation mark. There it is.
Right. So
I want to hear from Rosemary and Sophia, because Sophia's sort of the most tenured now with her gold ship. She just became a Nikken Gold, which is her second level of leadership in company. In 5-6 months she's been with Nikken. So Rosemary, do you have something you want to add to that? Your experience thus far?
Yeah. So I quit. First off, I have like a quick question from a friend of mine. She's wondering if how she'd like to know about the products more. Do you guys have a link that you can send us, or if you want to speak on it a little bit, that would be great.
I'll give you a quick overview. The categories: sleep, nutrition, water. I know I'm missing a couple. Air, and well, essentially environment. Essentially, Nikken's products incorporate nature. So Nikken's study of nature is what the product lines are built on. The technology are magnetics, infrared, negative ions. Those are the primary technologies that are incorporated into our sleep system, our water technology, and so forth. But essentially, I'll give you the simplest analogy. Water. Most people consume water reluctantly in many cases, and those who do consume a lot usually consume bottled water, which is somewhat compromised because you don't know the source or the process it went through. It's not regulated. It's also quite expensive, and it's also contributing to a environmental footprint that is not desirable going forward if we're going to create a sustainable environment. So Nikken's elegant solution really was modeled after botanists who were studying the process of how water filters itself naturally on planet Earth. How is it that we have a fresh water supply? There's a filtration process that the Earth takes it through. And they studied this in a particular region of Japan that was producing the most virile life in the area, as well, the highest concentration of centenarians, people who live 100. So there was something common to all of that, was the water supply. And so they studied this water, how it comes to be, and its own filtration, the passing through a magnetite, the microclusters, et cetera, replicated that. And that's our technology. You pour tap water in the top, and you get this incredible alkaline mineral water out the bottom that we call pi water or pi mag water. And this water, hands down, the words you're going to use, because that's the words everybody uses, is I love this water. Not I like this water, or yeah, this is really good water. No, it's I love this water. There's something about this water that your body is going to just say, I love this water. And if you don't believe me, believe your pets. You just can give whatever water you're giving your pet now, and you give them this water, and you're going to see the difference. If you put any of our magnetic technology, I'm sitting on one right now. It's a seat cushion that goes on my seat. I'm wearing one. You put that around a pet or near a pet, or just lay it around somewhere in the house. That's where you're going to find your pet. They're going to be on it. Somehow they know, because it's natural. It's replicating Earth's nature. Yes. And so there's some links that you're going to get. There's a link that will send you some video clips and things like that, that you can look into it more and then ask more questions as to around which products sort of caught your eye. We didn't give you, you don't have it all. We don't give it all. I mean, I think there's a catalog in one of the links too. So you can go and peruse and see what's online, and get a basic understanding of what Nikan's all about. Our nutrition, for instance, is whole foods organic. We have the most incredible skincare line coming straight from France, from the seaweed that they extract from the ocean in a sustainable way. I mean, this company is extremely green. And I know I've missed a bunch of stuff, but it's pretty high tech. It's pretty amazing, but it's also extremely practical and simple, because it applies to us every day in our everyday life. And what was the other thing? I think, yeah, so there is a link. Yeah. Was that it? Did I answer the question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay.
Did you want me to quickly brush up
Sure.
on my experience so far?
Yeah.
Cool. So, Zach introduced me to this, I guess, general meeting. We had like a little wellness retreat a couple of weeks ago, and I was really open to it. He let me know that Elena was a dancer, and I'm also a dancer. So I was like, oh, we could find, I could probably find some like-minded individuals. And Zach was basically saying, like, honestly, you two are so similar. I feel like you guys are gonna really kick it off. And I'm like, you know what? We'll see how it goes. So I went, and you guys had like one of the greatest presentations, each and every one of you that spoke. It was just phenomenal. I took some notes and some, I guess, pictures in the background quietly. And I basically was like, you know what? I really want to do something like this. And I've always been one of those people that were kind of like outcasted. I was I still am very outspoken and quite disagreeable, especially when it came to convention. And I always was really interested in electromagnetism and auric fields and energy transformation. And I always have a need and desire to connect with people, to love, and to be as close to nature as I possibly can. And that is still what I strive to do and be. And yeah, I was also really interested in, nature's divine coding, like fractal science and quantum physics. And I'm so extremely—
We got some talking to do, girl. Man, sorry, go on.
And yeah, I'm really into skincare and circadian rhythms and what I put into my body. And I'm very, very, I would say, paranoid. Because the world nowadays, they put so much toxic chemicals into our air, our water systems, our food, our grocery stores is just a bunch of preservatives and refined sugars, and I don't want to live a life like that. My body doesn't agree with it, my soul doesn't agree with it. So I just wanted to find a place where I can connect with people that get me, because a lot of people don't. And I also hate working a 9-to-5. I hate wearing masks at work. I despise it. I really do. And yeah, I found that at Nikan, and I searched up their products and stuff, and I did a lot of research on it. And a lot of the research I did that previously, before I even knew about Nikan's products, it aligned very well for me. So I was like, oh, this, I may be a shoo-in, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's basically most of what I wanted to say. And I'm just really excited to see how the future holds out. And I feel like this is a really good team of people.
It sounds like you've got a lot in common with Mike, I have to say.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
you guys definitely have a lot to talk about. So
For sure. Oh my God. Have you read Greg Braden at all? You know about Greg Braden?
Not yet.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, you will
Okay,
watch
we'll
quickly.
talk.
Okay.
Sophia, you're sort of the synthesis of a lot of this, so maybe you can share your story.
Hey everyone, it's really nice to meet you. Hannah, it's great to see your face. Where do I start? I never know where to start with my story because I could start 6 months ago, but that's really not where my story started. It started when I was born. I've been part of the Nikan family since the first day of my life. When I was born, my parents were, I think they went Royal Diamond, which is the highest rank in the company, in the same year that I was born. So they were already very successful. And luckily, I got to grow up in an environment that most children don't. Of course, I had all my wellness products, right? I was sleeping on a magnetic bed and had all the benefits of the Nikan technology from the moment I was born, but I also was privileged in so many other ways. I think the most beautiful blessing that Nikan gave me, of course, like there's the financial resources of it. I've lived a very, very privileged life. I've gotten to travel and have very luxurious experiences and eat at 5-star restaurants and hotels and really experience like the highest quality of life that you can. And then on top of that, which the thing that I find most valuable is the personal development aspect. People really respect and admire me for the way that I think and how I'm able to present myself, how I'm able to communicate. And that's because I grew up in an environment where I was listening to Bob Proctor speak on stage when I was in diapers, you know, and that's really like on our team call the other night, we had one of our newest team members, her name's Kat, she just gave birth and she had her son listening to the team call while we were, you know, sitting there watching it. And he's like literally a newborn. And all of this conscious conversation is going straight into his subconscious mind. And I'm looking at that saying like, wow, I'm the product of that 23 years later. I'm so grateful that now I get to do that for somebody else. So for me, it's really like, you don't get these kind of conversations everywhere. You know, you don't really talk about things that really matter. You don't talk about living a purposeful life, about creating value, about having freedom with your time, your money, your energy, and about having a practical way that we can actually do that. Instead of just having it be a dream, it's like, okay, now let's take action, let's make it happen. And the fact that I'm able to facilitate this space for people to have those conversations has been a really big blessing in my life. And I feel like I'm really living life on purpose. And so for 6 months, I really, I worked hard and grew my business. My focus was always on building my team. And I was really successful at bringing people into the team. I consider myself a community builder because that's really what we're building. We're building the world's most influential wellness community. And now I'm actually in Mexico right now. I just embarked on a 6-month backpacking trip, and I feel super blessed that I get to take my Nikan business with me wherever I go. So, you know, although I've left my Canada, I left my home base, I still get to have my team calls. I still get to recruit via social media because that's really what has been working for me. I still get to promote my products, which obviously I cannot live without, and I brought with me. And yeah, and of course, like nourish and grow the team that we already have existing. So it's really great that Nikan has been like a business that has been able to fuel my dreams, because this is something that I've always been wanting to do. And I saved up over the last few months, strictly just focusing all my energy on my Nikan business. And now I'm continuing to like fund the expenses I have here through my Nikan business as well. So if you're if you are an aspiring digital nomad,
like living that journey with Nikan right now. So that's a little bit about my story. There's so much, like I can't even encapsulate it all right now, but I hope that we have this opportunity to work together closer and get to know each other a little bit more, because I'd love to share with you
just more about my experience being with Nikan, being part of the Nikan family, and now being able to birth a new movement, which we call the Sovereign Life Movement, because it's all about living life on your own terms. And we are very, very, very happy to have you.
Well, we haven't seen the faces of the others or had any questions, but if you do have one, I guess the call's been a bit long, but we got started a little bit late because of our technical glitch. But if you have a question, either Bubbles, Kayla, Aaron sort of joined a little bit later, and Ariana, do you have anything that you'd like to ask before we wrap up? Again, I just want to remind you, we do have more information coming your way by way of a link that you can take a look at and see some of what we're talking about visually. And that way you'll have a better context. But what this is really about is an invitation to look into this. Those of you who heard my story, it took me 48 hours from start to finish to make the decision of a lifetime. From when I first heard the word Nikan to when I signed my name on a Nikan contract, in which case we don't do that anymore. We just sign up online. It's $20. So it's not a financial decision of any consequence. But this is where the journey begins, where your wellness journey begins, where your wellness experience begins, where your community experience begins, where your personal development begins, where your business know-how begins. We're going to teach you how to move from the left-hand side of the cash flow quadrants, Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrants, one of the videos you may have been shown, to the right-hand side, which is how to go from being somebody who is dependent on other people to employ you to somebody who is interdependent, working in a collaborative environment to create an experience that can be life-sustaining. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, and have you heard from everybody else, how this is completely tied to a wellness, a total wellness approach, that's 46 years in the making and just picking up steam. We would love to work with you and see your faces. So any questions before we wrap up? Well, I'm going to say thank you to Ben, because Ben, you have 8 kids, and I know that's a busy household. So for you to take the time out as you do, and you always do, and he's the first to say, I'm in, count me in. By the way, Ben publishes a newsletter. He's really the publisher. I get my name on it just for kicks, but he's the one who actually writes it every week. And it's a great newsletter. This past one I shared it with the Sovereign Life team. If you haven't read it, do read it. It's amazing. And yeah, this kind of conversation can be something that you become more and more a part of. I focus on law of attraction. That's my thing. I do a call Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. If you want to join that. Upcoming this Monday, by the way, is a conversation with a colleague of mine who, with me, launched the Nikan market in Canada in 1992. Botanis will be on the call with me, and we're going to share our story of the first 90 days, what we did to create an explosion in Canada. So this is what we're looking to replicate, and that's going to be the theme for the next several calls. If you want to join my call called Aligning with Success. The Sovereign Life team has their own calls. You know, you guys, you got something to think about, but at the very least say, send me the link. Absolutely. Send me the link. Let me do some homework. And if you're already ready to join, I think Hannah, you probably indicated that you're ready to move. So like I said, it's a $20 decision. I mean, we spent a lot more time than $20 worth. It'll be an experience of a lifetime, I promise.
Yep. I think well said. I want to personally thank both you, Zio, and Ben as well for sharing your time with us and your wisdom, because for me, it's always a blessing. And I know there was a lot of value that was shared for everyone who joined the call. Yeah, thanks guys for showing up tonight. I hope you learned something. You know, I'm glad that you took the time to commit to your own learning and development, because that's something that is going to be, I think, the most rewarding down the line. And that's something that we do regularly in this business. So if you have any questions, you know who to contact. Zach, Rose, as well. You guys have somewhat of a connection to me, my cousin, my uncle, and Ben as well. So don't be a stranger. I hope to work with you all further and to get to know you guys and your stories a little bit. little bit better, a little bit more intimately. So, all right, guys, everyone, enjoy the
care.
rest of your night.
You
Take care, guys.
and
Did you have a comment, Rose?
I was just gonna say, if I can get the recording so I can send it to a couple of people that weren't able to make it today, due to
Yeah.
like work and projects and